Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is episode 34 of High Street Sports. My name is Chris. This is John Ross, and we're back with the little bit of the usual. It's going to be a little bit different today. Today will just be NFL chatter. We will save, the bowl game preview and stuff for next week, so be on the lookout for that. John Ross, what's going on, man? How are you feeling about this week's NFL happenings?
What's up, buddy? Yeah, I hope our picks go a little bit better this week than they did last week, and some of the football's better. Hopefully, we don't have any 3-0 games this week like we did this past week.
Miserable, dude. Absolutely miserable.
Yeah, I think you had the same as me, but I think we both have the nice record of 6-9 for last week.
Yes, we did. I as well went 6-9. Brought my record to 113-97. What say you, Rostradamus?
I am up to 126-84.
All right.
So you're gaining on me a little bit.
Hey, well, not with weeks like last week, even though we
We
no
got
blood.
what, 4
essentially.
4 weeks left?
Mm-hmm. And then the fun starts. I know, it's unbelievable, dude. I think about it all the time, and I know we've said it several times, but I cannot believe we're to this point in the year, in the season. It's Christmas in a week and a half. It's NFL playoffs coming shortly after that. It's crazy. Bowl madness in college football, but like I said, we'll get to that next week. So this is just a full week of NFL chatter. So a few housekeeping things. I don't know about you, but the Patrick Mahomes thing is just, I mean, dude, it's a penalty. Like, what are we even talking about?
He was like damn near a whole foot offside.
And it's not the referee's responsibility to make sure that you're onside as a player.
Yeah.
Like, you point and get your approval, but if you don't look, then if the ref told everybody to get back onside, there would be no flags, So
yeah,
that was a weak point, I felt like, from Patrick. And I know he apologized.
A little bit of a whiner.
Yeah. I think it's, that's kind of with the new Tom Brady-ish, kind of interesting. But anyways, neither here nor there. Record Chiefs, though, record with Taylor Swift in the picture. Not very good. A lot of people are saying.
Well, I don't know. When she's in attendance, they have a winning record, don't they?
I think, but as a whole, I think this whole experiment is like at around 500. A little shaky there in Kansas City.
True. Yep. Travis, what's more important, man?
What do you want? You can place it, or are you not? I don't know. It's crazy.
Is it her birthday?
Yeah, it's her birthday today.
Today is Taylor Swift's birthday?
I'm being told from sources that today is Taylor Swift's birthday.
Okay. Happy birthday, T Swift.
Hopefully your man can deliver you a win this week. Hopefully he can salvage his Hall of Fame career this week after
Kadarius Toney ruined it.
Yeah, apparently last week's play is going to just ruin his Hall of Fame chances.
Yeah, that's interesting conversation. Though he has apologized for his outburst, turning into a little bit of a Jackson Mahomes situation there for Patrick. However, that's all I got to say about that. Unless you have anything else, we'll get into the schedule and we'll go from there.
No, let's do it. Starting off this week with a rivalry game on Thursday night, tomorrow night. You got the Raiders at the Chargers. Raiders coming off the aforementioned 3-0 game. I would want my money back if I was in attendance for that.
Yeah, that seemed to be a miserable game that I do not regret not watching a single second.
Yeah, and then yeah. Raiders coming off a loss, as are the Chargers coming off a loss to the Broncos, and also news broke yesterday that before Justin Herbert is out for the season. Las Vegas is -3 in this one. Even if Justin Herbert was playing, I'm a man of my word. I will never pick the Chargers again this season. Give me the Raiders. All going on the road and winning.
I don't know what to think about this game. If we had one pass to not pick every week, I would choose this game. I'm pretty sure I chose the Raiders last week in that game, and that just.
Well, you can only go up from here.
One would assume. Who is?
There's only one way to go up from 0 points.
That is true. Fortunately,
you can't get negative points.
Unfortunately for the Chargers, negative is not an option. Who is their backup?
Chargers? Good
Yeah,
question.
I don't think I know. And I'm not sure that would really sway my opinion that much.
No.
But I would still like
Oh,
to
it's
know.
Easton Stick. It's a
Taking the
hockey
Raiders.
stick.
I'm taking the Raiders.
It's a hockey stick in a football uniform.
That game might be 1-0. That's not possible, but they'll find a way. It might be 1-0.
If this game ends up being like 2-0, these teams should just have to forfeit the rest of their season.
I agree.
Back to the drawing board.
I agree. I think the Chargers head coach would have to be out at that point. If there's nothing to this point has made that happen, I would think that would be enough to make it happen. Because my God,
that would be bad.
Horrible.
Yeah. Moving on from that ass fest, we got the Vikings at the Bengals. Vikings. Good thing we're getting both these teams out of the way early. Vikings on the receiving end of that 3-0 drubbing, or no, excuse me, they handed the drubbing of 3-0 to the Raiders, and they're going to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. Cincinnati coming off a big win last week against the I had it on the tip of my tongue. Colts, yeah. They beat the Colts at home. Made us look dumb. I thought the Colts were going to waltz in there and Bengals on a 2-game win streak now, ever since Joey B went down, and I think they're going to keep it going this week against the Vikings, especially if the Vikings only score 3 points. Cincinnati's favored by 3, so yeah, give me Cincy at home.
Well, the math all makes sense there, and the Bengals, for what it's worth, Mr. Brown, good job since he stepped in for Joe. And they have weapons, man. And I think that's the big part here to what the success has been without Joe Burrow is you still have Jamar Chase and you still have T. Higgins. So there's still weapons there for Cincy, and they're making it work. So I will follow that, and I will take Cincy as well.
Yep. And I'm going to mention this is the first of 3 Saturday games this week.
Ooh, we're to that point.
Got some Saturday football this weekend.
There we go.
Then next up, we got the Steelers at the Colts. Colts coming off a loss to the Bengals, and then the Steelers coming off a loss to the Patriots. Chris is a genius and picked the Patriots. I am an idiot and thought the Steelers could beat the Patriots.
Saw it coming from a mile away.
Apparently that was too much to ask for. Yeah, Steelers seem to be in a bit of a free fall right now. We got a lot of name dropping going out in the media, people calling each other out. Did you see it was before last week's game, but did you see Najee Harris's quote about Mitch Trubisky?
I did not.
They asked him about like his leadership, and Najee Harris just said, "It's okay, I guess."
Oof.
And then Mike Tomlin came out today and said George Pickens' sideline outbursts are getting old, especially if they're not, quote, solution-oriented, which he's got a point.
Yeah. I mean it's shocking
Mike Tomlin's word is basically the word of God in football. So
yeah, well, and it's shocking that good segue. I can't believe that a Mike Tomlin led team has gotten to this position. I figured if they
still have
could
a winning record,
they do through it all. But I think I just would have thought that if they were going to make it to like this point, which is essentially rock bottom for them, I would think that would have happened with like the Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell situations that have happened in the past, but it hasn't up until this point. But it's kind of scary hours for the Steelers.
Yeah, their last 3 games, they're 3 out of the 4 are all road games at Indy, at Seattle, and at Baltimore, and then 1 home game against Cincinnati. So there's a good chance Mike Tomlin could have his first losing season as a head coach. Hope he doesn't though. I kind of like that storyline, and
yeah,
I
mean it's impressive.
Mike Tomlin too.
One of the most impressive feats that I think I've ever heard in sports for a coach that's coached for that long and at this level, and with the success that he's had and with the limited amount of any sort of failure, it's kind of impressive.
At the same time though, there's rumors that like people in Pittsburgh, I don't know, maybe getting tired of him. I think that's stupid. But if they did want to let him go, I know a certain team that should come calling. Whether or not he would want to come work under David Tepper is a different story, though.
Yeah.
But yeah. enough about them. We'll get to them shortly in a little bit and talk about them shortly. Next up, my pick for that, I'm
We
going
didn't
with the
even.
Colts.
I was about to say we didn't
Yeah.
even pick this game.
I'm going with the Colts.
Uh,
The Steelers kind of are very discombobulated at the moment, so I'm going to go with the Colts at home.
Yeah, I just unfortunately, Mitch Trubisky is. I think what you're going to get out of him, and especially with this team, is just not going to be good enough to win a game. So I will pick the Colts to have a bounce back win in that one.
All right. Then in the last of the Saturday games, we got Broncos at Lions. Broncos coming off the win against the Chargers. Lions coming off a surprising loss to the Bears last week. Lions are coming back down to earth a little bit, it seems like. They still have a very, very good team top to bottom and a great head coach in Dan Campbell, but see if they can right the ship this week. They're favored by 4. I think they will get it done at home in Detroit. I think it'll be a good game, though.
Yeah, I do. I just something about the Lions' offense just kind of seems off. But I think their defense is still one of the better in the NFL. And I think they'll be able to pull that one off too. So I think I will take the Lions in that one, even though again I won't be surprised if they find a way to lose this game. But I'll take the Lions.
Next up, we got going to the Sunday game, Buccaneers at Packers. Bucks coming off a last-minute win against the Falcons in Atlanta. Packers coming off a loss on Monday night to both our shock against the Giants. And, the Giants and Joey Bag of Donuts, the QB back there. Did you see the picture of his agent? Well,
yeah.
Getting sidetracked. We'll talk about him in a little bit. We'll talk about Joey Guacamole here soon. Bucks coming off a win against the Bucks have won, I believe, 2 or 3 in a row now, and they're in first place in the NFC South. Green Bay is at home in this one, favored -3.5. This is a tough one because the Bucks have been playing well, albeit against the Panthers and the Falcons. But give me the Packers to get a bounce back win at home in Lambeau.
Yeah, I like that one too, and it sounds cliche, but the reason I do like that is because of Lambeau, and it's going to be cold up there, and it's I think at a certain point all NFL teams are kind of they're not inept or incapable of playing in the cold weather, but the Packers practice in it all week. They're used to it more so than the Bucks are practicing in South Florida, or not South Florida, Tampa, nonetheless. So I'll take the Packers in that one, and I think home field. I think Lambeau will play a big part in that. So I'll take the Packers.
Speaking of South Florida, next up we got the Dolphins at home versus the Jets. Jets coming off a really big win against the Texans last week. 30-6, I believe the final score was.
Yep.
And then the Dolphins coming off the other surprising loss on Monday night to the Titans. That's who it was.
Mm-hmm.
The Will Levis and the Titans. Miami at home in this one favored -8.5. I think they bounce back in this one against the Jets, even though Zach Wilson did look good last week, being thrown back into the starter position. So never know with him. It seems week to week what kind of Zach Wilson you get.
Yeah, and I mean, he said, "Fuck it." I mean, there's nothing else. They can't get worse than this. What are they going to do? Bench me? So I mean, he's kind of playing with that chip and that edge. But on the other side of that, you got a little bit of a struggling Dolphins team. They had a players only, I think today it came out, or yesterday maybe, to kind of clear the air and to kind of get everybody back on the right track there. I still, for what it's worth, the Zach Wilson thing could be a good story if he ends up finishing the season and getting some wins here late. But I don't know, is there any status update on Tyreek Hill?
I haven't seen anything, no.
So that could play a part in it. But as it stands right now, I still don't believe really in the Jets to be able to go pull this one off, especially in Miami. We have seen crazier things happen, but I'll pick the Fins in this one.
Yeah, the Dolphins definitely need this one.
It's almost a must-win.
Inferior opponent because their last 3 games are Cowboys at home, at Baltimore, home against the Bills.
Yeah, they have to get this one. This is a game that you absolutely cannot lose, especially with the way that they're still trying to hold on to control that division. So, yeah, it's a big one.
Yep. And next up, AFC South matchup, Texans at Titans. Texans, like we just talked about, coming off a loss in New York to the Jets. Titans coming off a big win on Monday night against the Dolphins. Tennessee's actually favored in this one, -3. I'm not sure what the status of CJ Stroud is. I know he's in the concussion protocol. I think he'll still be. And Tank Dell, I'm pretty sure, is going to be out for the rest of the year. Not sure if Nico Collins will be back this week, but I'm going to take the Titans at home. Even if CJ plays, I just think the Titans. Mike Vrabel's a great coach, and he's motivating those guys right now. Will Levis is playing well too, and I like the guy, but CJ Stroud got a little taste of what it would have been like if he got drafted #1 last week.
Yeah, it's kind of a situation where, I think it's tough in the middle of what kind of season he's having to have a conversation like this. But if you're, going to be without your playmakers, for CJ, and it's going to be a situation where you could have, if he goes out there, he could get hurt again. 4 games left, you're not going to make the playoffs. It's kind of a, is it better in the long run to kind of sit him down, depending on how his health is and what the extent of this concussion is. So, but CJ is a tough kid, and he won't want to sit down if he doesn't have to. So, there's definitely going to be a conversation.
Yeah, I think if he's healthy, you got to let him play. I mean, he's having a great season so far, and those are reps he needs.
Yeah. So interesting, at least something to think about for the Texans. And but it sucks that it's going this way. However, I do think, I just don't. Will Levis is playing well, so I think I think the proper pick here would be to go with the Titans. So I will do that begrudgingly because I don't love the Titans, necessarily, and I think depending on what happens, I think the Texans could have a chance to win this game. But as you mentioned, Mike Vrabel, great coach, will be able to game plan if CJ's not, if that offense isn't at 100%. So I'll take the Titans.
Next up, we got probably the hottest story in the NFL. Tommy Gabagool DeVito and the Giants going to New Orleans to play the Saints. Giants coming off that win on Monday night. Did you see that picture of Tommy DeVito and his agent?
Yes, I did.
It couldn't have been more perfect.
The dude is wearing a fedora and a 2-piece suit in the stands, kissing.
Someone made a good point too.
And celebrating touchdowns, huh?
Dude, did you see the DeVito family's tailgate?
No, I did not.
Oh, I'd have gained 1,000 pounds.
Pasta and gabagool for everyone.
Dude, you had chicken parm, you had veal. They were making veal out there at the tailgate. I love it.
I mean, listen. It's New York City. What do you expect?
Yeah, I think someone made a good point. Every team's third-string quarterback should be required to be someone from the area.
I mean, yeah, it's when you've got skin in the game, like real skin in the game. Absolutely. I mean, yes.
And he's playing well too. Giants are playing. I mean, Brian Dable is still a great coach.
Buddy, I'm telling you what, Saquon Barkley is looking like Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, and then the Saints. It's in New Orleans. They're favored by 6, coming off the win last week against the Panthers. But I'm going to roll with the hot hand here. Give me Tommy fucking DeVito and the New York Giants.
I don't hate that. What are we looking at? Do you have any insight on the Saints quarterback situation?
Derek Carr's playing. He played last week. I thought he was.
Give me the Giants. Give me the Giants.
All right.
I've made it known. Like after Derek Carr threw that temper tantrum, weeks ago on the field, like I don't think anybody can win with him. I really don't.
Yeah. And we're both rolling with Tommy Cappuccilli.
Yeah, give me Tommy Parms over there. I'll take the Giants. Let me ask you a favor.
Is that his touchdown celebration when he scores?
I don't know, but it should be. Should be.
Next up, NFC South matchup: Falcons at the Panthers. Falcons, both teams going off losses. Falcons at home to the Bucks. Panthers on the road to the Saints. Atlanta's favored -3 in this one. Falcons, they're going to win. The Panthers, it's still going downhill ever since Frank Reich was fired. I thought maybe for a little bit, I don't know what it is about teams when a coach gets fired, they seem to galvanize and play a little bit better, but that hasn't been the case. And I've texted a bunch of people they need to sit Bryce Young down.
Yeah, his last 6 games have been absolutely atrocious, and it's not doing him any favors.
He's not playing well. He's missing some throws, but it's malpractice to keep putting him behind that line. Don't ruin his confidence any more than it already probably has been. Like we got to sell. Like he's our investment. You traded all that stuff to move up number one. Like we don't have a first round pick next year because of that. You got to protect him. He's the investment. He's the future. He's the only thing, in my opinion, nailed to the floor.
Yeah,
I'd listen on anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it just you can't keep putting him in harm's way. Period.
Yeah, and I can tell it's affecting him too. His footwork he's got the Sam Darnold happy feet right now. And
yeah, I mean, Jesus, why could you blame him? I mean, he's got no time. He can't, now listen, I love CJ Stroud, but you go six half dozen one or the other, however that saying goes in that situation. Like you put CJ behind that line, it's probably going to look pretty similar, and it's not good for anybody.
Creating separation, so that's even when he has time, nobody's open.
Yeah.
So, yeah, give me the Falcons.
Yeah, I'll take the Falcons as well. And you're starting to see, and to talk about the Falcons for a second, Desmond Ridder is kind of starting to get comfortable. He's looking like he's willing to make some things happen with his feet, and he's got a pretty serviceable arm back there as well. So Desmond Ridder is kind of running around making some plays. Bijan is still involved in the offense. So yeah, I'll take the Falcons in that one too.
And then next up, we got the Bears traveling to Cleveland to play the Brownies. Bears coming off the win against Green Bay. Browns coming off the win against I just had it.
Jacksonville.
That's right, Jacksonville. Joe Flacco, elite. It turns out it's still elite. And I know there's a transfer portal in college. We're going to make a transfer portal in fandom. I'm jumping on the Cleveland Browns bandwagon this year. Let's go Brownies. It's not just because you're my brother. I like the Browns. They've been hit with a lot of injuries this year, and they just
Grant Delpit just added to that list about 4 hours ago. They just keep
finding ways to win. I love the Cleveland fan base. They stand by that team no matter what, through thick and thin, a lot. So, yeah.
a lot of thick. And a lot
if I had a hat right now, I'd put it on. So yeah, let's go Brownies. I'm picking them to win this week at home against the Bears.
I mean, it's just an incredible story. You look at the list of injuries, and you can just go on and on and on at every position on the field. It seems, it's been miserable for the Browns this season in that respect, and it just keeps, like I said, the list keeps growing with Grant Delpit being added to the injury reserve about 4 hours ago, and it's next man up, man. It's truly next man up. But Kevin Stefanski, to his credit, and he's had to listen to a lot of pissed off Browns fans talk about play calling and this, that, and the third. But listen, 3 different quarterbacks have won a game for the Browns this year, and throughout the 10 to 15 key injuries that the Browns have, they sit at 8-5, and they're squarely in the wild card hunt, and not out of the division race either. Now, it would have been nice if the Ravens would have done a little bit of a favor and lost that game last week, but
they're still 2 games back of them, aren't they? Or is it 1?
Yeah, 2, I think. So I mean, the Browns are having an incredible season. Browns fans should really lay off the criticism of Stefanski. He's made chicken salad out of chicken shit in a lot of situations this year, and so I like the Browns' remaining schedule. I like this.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
it's I'm just going to say you're 2 games back of the Ravens. The Ravens' last 4 games are at Jacksonville, at San Francisco, home against Miami, home against the Steelers. And then the Browns' remaining schedule, if I can find it, is this week, home against Chicago, at Houston next week, home against the Jets, and at Cincinnati. So
I mean, that's about as favorable as it gets.
All winnable games, like injuries be damned.
That's
especially if Joe Flacco plays like he did last week.
It's as favorable as it gets. I think, since he's been in the 3 games or 2 games that he started for the Browns, he's at about probably a 250 passing yard average, completing over 50% of his passes, more touchdowns than interceptions. And, so I think I saw a stat that says that with 1 more touchdown pass, Joe Flacco will be will tie Kenny Pickett's total for the season, and Joe Flacco's only played about 7 quarters. So
Yeah,
take that for what you will. I
if
mean, the Browns
get, good production by committee from Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt, that sets Joe up nicely.
That's really what is going to, make or break the Browns at the end of the season.
And before we move on to the next game, you should probably make a comment about David Njoku's hands because it seemed to work.
Yeah. So shout out to David, who seemed to have heard me point out the fact that he leads the league in drops, or led the league in drops. I'm not really sure where that stands as we sit right here. But just, and that's what I think the Browns fans need to give credit to Kevin Stefanski the most is like, what do you do when you need how do you set up a guy like Joe Flacco to come in and make a difference? Well, you get the ball to your best playmakers, and whether or not David Njoku has a problem dropping the ball, he and Amari Cooper are the Browns' 2 best playmakers, and that's who they're getting the ball to. And so, the play that they got David Bell his first career touchdown on, which really I think sealed the game for the Browns in that second half, was it's just Kevin's cooking, Browns fans. Cut him some slack. He's had a lot of shit going on. Okay, so we're cooking. We're 8-5. We're about to be 9-5. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Oh, give me the Browns, baby.
Should we talk about that proposition I sent you via text? Remember I told you? So I have a theory.
Okay.
I think Deshaun Watson is more or less maybe halfway checked out of football ever. Like I know he's injured, but he seems something seems off. He seems like he's not fully invested ever since. I mean, he got that fully guaranteed contract. Something seems off. And Joe Flacco is a stopgap. I know he's playing well.
Oh, yeah,
but he's
100%.
a stopgap.
Yeah.
If I'm the Cleveland Browns, if Jaden Daniels falls far enough, and I'm probably saying this because I'm an adopted LSU fan now too. If Jaden Daniels starts falling far enough, the Browns do not have a first-round pick, but if he starts falling far enough, I think the Browns should look at moving up to grab him.
I definitely wouldn't hate that. The only thing that I could see that would prevent that is, I really don't know what they would give up to move back into the first round, and I'd be kind of scared and hesitant to, offer whatever it would take to get back up into the first round. And I think they like what they have with DTR.
It would definitely have to be in the 20s. Like he would have to fall that far.
Yeah, and now listen, I don't think the DTR is by any means and I don't want to talk bad about him because he's done a phenomenal job this year, but I don't know if DTR is the guy of the future if you're going to look at it in that respect. So, I mean, I think it would behoove the Browns to make a move and maybe draft another quarterback.
And not to mention, like we talked about, Jaden doesn't have to play immediately either.
Yeah.
You can ride out Deshaun for another year because I think you need to get him a little bit further down. What is it, a 5-year deal?
Yeah, so this would be year 3.
Yeah, you need to get him into at least year 4 before you talk about cutting your losses if he's not delivering.
Yeah, but I mean, now listen, injuries be damned, like you said. Deshaun's 5-1 as a starter this year. So again, I don't want to make any too, hasty decisions or proclamations or anything like that, because I do think that with Deshaun, the Browns are an elite team. They were 7-3 at the time of his injury and really had momentum. And then they, with the quarterback situation, they dropped a couple, so there's pomp and circumstance, and it just kind of it is with every team at this point in the NFL season. So, but it's an interesting scenario to think about because Jaden is electric. Obviously, just coming off of a Heisman Trophy. Congrats to Jaden there. Hell of a season. Earned every bit of it, despite his defense, like you would say. So yeah, it's just it'd be an interesting scenario.
His defense didn't make that list of thank yous.
Well, nor should they have.
Yeah, I'd have cussed him out if I was him.
Yeah. But we'll talk about that next week.
Yep. Moving on to the next game, we got Chiefs at Patriots. Chiefs coming off the loss to the Bills at home. We talked about that. Patrick Mahomes' little outburst there at the end of the game after Kadarius Stoney's offside penalty. Patriots coming off the winning against the Steelers. Chris knew something I didn't. This week, though, Kansas City -8 in this one. The Chiefs seem to play a lot better when people are talking bad about them, to me. And people, rightfully so, people are calling Mahomes a baby and stuff like that. So I think they'll rally around their quarterback and get a win in New England this week.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, it's just like you said, man. Like and I think any NFL or football fan can attest to this. Like we know exactly what the Chiefs are, and they're a great football team. They're very well coached, and I think the big story should be more of Kadarius Toney and this season's comedy of errors for
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney. I mean, he can't catch a cold. And I don't know if you saw the replay, but when the ball went to Travis in that situation in the first place, he threw his hands up, he pouted, and then before he
Oh,
even got
really?
a
I
chance
didn't
to
see
look up,
that.
oh yeah, go back and look at the replay. He, kind of, oh shit, the ball didn't come to me, and by the time he was done throwing his bitch fit and looked up, the ball was on him, and Travis had thrown the ball to him, and he caught it and ran in. So, I think that there's some egos in that building that shouldn't be there. Like for whatever reason, like Kadarius hasn't made a name for himself. In fact, he did the exact opposite by getting traded after a year after being a first round pick. So I mean, there's just egos there that don't need to be there. And I think as a leader, Mahomes realized or should realize that like you can't feed into that. And on the other side of that, the Patriots got a big win last week, and Ezekiel Elliott scored a touchdown. Bailey Zappi looks serviceable as he did last year when he got some time with the Patriots. So Patriots have, I mean, their record indicates that they are not a good football team, and they are not. But I think they're a little bit better than their record would lead on. And again, like I said, a very, very good victory for the Patriots, and moral victory or whatever you want to call it. So I mean, I like what the Patriots have been able to do. Belichick has been asked and kind of grilled this week about his future and what that looks like going forward, and if he's going to coach. So I mean, I think when you back Belichick into a corner, he's going to find a way to try and prove you wrong. And for what that's worth, again, I think they had a very good win last week, and I like what the momentum that they might be building, but not so fast. I'm going with the Chiefs.
All right. Next up, NFC West matchup, 49ers at Cardinals. Niners coming off a win at Seattle last week. Christian McCaffrey had 145 yards on the ground on 16 carries. Deebo Samuel had 7 catches for 149 yards. Brandon Ayuk had 6 catches for 126 yards. The Niners are humming right now on both sides of the ball. Cardinals coming back down to earth ever since Kyler came back. I don't think they played last week. They did not. But so they're coming off a bye, but San Francisco minus 12.5. Give me the Niners in this one to keep it rolling.
Yeah, give me the Niners and give them to me to cover every bit of that. Kyler Murray is way overpaid, in my opinion. And I think, that defensive line, that defense, period, for the Niners is just really, really good. So give me the Niners and give me the Niners to cover.
Yeah. Next up, the Commanders. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to pick them.
Nope.
At the Rams. Commanders, I think, did they not play last week? They didn't play last week.
Yeah, they were off. Yeah.
And then Rams coming off the loss to the Ravens last week. Close game that went to overtime. LA's favored minus 6.5 in this one. Already said it. I'm not picking the Commanders anymore. I have no reason to. I think LA will take care of business at home.
Yep, they're on my do not fly list. Give me the Rams. Give them the cover.
All right. Next up, Cowboys at Bills. Both teams coming off wins. Cowboys big primetime win against the Eagles to get into a tie for first in the NFC East. Bills coming off a really big win at Kansas City, a win they needed to maybe get back on track. Buffalo's actually favored minus 2.5 in this one, but give me the Cowboys. As much as I hate to say it, I like the way Dallas is playing right now. Dak's playing well. It will come to a screeching halt at some point. He will make a big mistake, like we said all year. It'd probably be in the playoffs, but yeah, give me the Cowboys to keep it rolling this week.
He's still going to throw 10 interceptions before this regular season is and I will stand on that business. Again, like Buffalo's another team that is just not themselves. And the Cowboys are hot. Where is this game again?
To Buffalo.
in Buffalo.
The Bills do play to their level of competition, but I just think Dallas is going to be too much for them. That defense is.
In Buffalo.
I know what you're going to do.
I think Dak throws 2 interceptions in this game, and I think the Bills win it.
All right. He needs 2 to get to 10, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
High Street Sports, or at least Chappie's High Street Sports upset pick of the week.
All right. I like it. Next up, Sunday Night Football, Ravens at Jags. Jags coming off the loss to the Browns. Ravens coming off the win against the Rams. Baltimore -3 in this one. Trevor Lawrence did play last week, so the injury doesn't seem to be as bad. He did. I didn't really get to see much of the highlights. I don't know if he seemed hobbled or not.
Really.
They made a bit of a push there at the end and made it interesting against Cleveland. The Ravens got it done in overtime against the Rams. I think it was in Baltimore too. I'm going to go with the Ravens this week. They just find ways to win. Think Keaton Mitchell will have a big game on the ground against the Jaguars. Keep feeding him the ball, Ravens.
Yeah, the Jags seem to be at a bit of a crossroads. I don't think ETN is like 100%. I think he's been playing kind of banged up lately too. So when you've got your 2 best offensive players kind of hobbled, I was shocked thoroughly that Trevor Lawrence gave it a go last week. But I mean, he was able to play the whole game and give the Jags a chance to win it. But I will side with you in that. Well,
you need them to lose. I know that.
I know. Do I go with my heart or my gut? I do need him to lose. Give me the Jags.
All right. And last, Monday Night Football. Bless you, Doug. Monday Night Football, Eagles at Seahawks. Doesn't get any easier for the Eagles. They've had the 49ers, Cowboys last week, Seahawks this week in Seattle. A tough place to play as always with the 12th man. Philly's favored -4 in this one. I picked them the past 2 weeks, and they've lost. Third time's a charm, I guess. Give me Philly to grind one out here in Seattle. Is DK suspended for what he did last week?
I don't know. I haven't seen, but I think there's a chance that he might be. But I think even if he would be, wouldn't he appeal it and get that pushed off anyways?
True.
So he's probably going to play.
Yeah.
That's a tough place to play, though, in Seattle. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, Philly needs to get this one because their last 3 games after this are home against the Giants, home against the Cardinals, and at the Giants. So
they've got some issues, man, and I don't really know what exactly their issues are, but they've seemed to really stumble on some, what the hell's going on scenarios here. But I mean, not granted, they've played some tough teams in the last 3 weeks, anyways. But
I guess Jalen Hurts is playing. No pun
banged
intended.
up.
Hurt.
Yeah,
like Jalen Hurts right now.
Yeah. He sure does.
Yeah. I'll be here all week. But yeah, they need to get this one because I told you their last 3 games. The Cowboys. I mean, they have at Buffalo this week, at Miami next week, home against Detroit in week 17, and then home against the Commanders. So really only one gimme out of these last 4 that they play. So Eagles need to win this.
Yeah, they do. And it's on Monday night. I mean, you got to think, though, too. I mean, that's what, 4 primetime games in a row for the Eagles?
Something like that. It's definitely at the very least 3.
It's been a pressure-packed last month. But I mean, again, you want to talk about well-coached teams. Sirianni's a good coach, and they're a well-coached team with a security guard that stands on business. So, yeah, I mean, this is a hard one. This is for the first time in a long time. I'm going to pull out the old High Street Sports adage. Which of these quarterbacks do you trust the most in this game? Jalen is hurt, and but I mean,
Don't write
You know
Geno
what?
off. He won't write you back.
Yeah, I'm not writing them off. In fact, I'm going to pick the 12s in this Monday night matchup to give the Eagles their third loss in as many weeks.
Third loss in a row. Yep.
So yeah, give me the Hawks.
All right.
We're getting bold.
Yeah, we've got some. We started off picking the same ones, but these last few we kind of differed on some of them. But yeah, that's it for this week's NFL slate.
All right. So, I mean, we're getting down to a lot of really important football. There's, as you mentioned, with the Ravens and the Browns situation and a lot of other division races going on. I mean, there's a lot of important football being played across the league. There's a lot of really, really bad football being played, but there's also some really good football being played and some pretty cool stories to keep an eye on, even if your team isn't necessarily in the situation that you would like it to be. So, hey,
He's talking about me. But hey, I'm a Browns fan now for the rest of the year. We ride.
There's a commercial that says, hold on to these football Saturdays and Sundays before they just become Saturdays and Sundays. There's not that many of them left. So get in front of a TV, get your favorite snacks, get your favorite beverages, get a cough drop, and snuggle up to the couch and watch some football as we come down the stretch here in the NFL season. That is your NFL slate for this week. Guys, be on the lookout next week. We're going to have a New Year's Six / college football playoff preview coming for you guys. We'll get a whole bunch of insight there, as well as the usual NFL banter to follow that conversation. So thank you guys once again for coming back. This is the 34th episode of High Street Sports. So it's kind of crazy that we've made it through a whole football season, but it's been fun. You guys make it fun coming back each week to watch us and listen to our just wonderful takes that we have on the show. If you haven't already, John Ross, what do they need to do?
They need to like, subscribe, tell a friend, tell a parent, tell anybody you come in contact with. Like, subscribe, all of it. Do it. Road to 100 subs. We don't have much time. You guys can give us a Christmas miracle and get us there. It's on you. It's not on me. It's not on Chris. It's on you.
It is. I don't want to put it blunt, but it is on you guys. So get us to 100 subs before Christmas would be sweet. But before the end of the season, that'd be awesome. A cool little milestone for us here to kind of get going into the off-season sports and back into football season next year, because it is a year-round game nowadays with the way the college sports work and the way that the NFL offseason really never stops. So we'll be here throughout the rest of this season and beyond. Once again, this is episode 34 of High Street Sports. My name is Chris.
Brownies.
This is John Ross. Let's go, Brownies. We'll see you guys next time.